move it up the list.
We're good.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. It's 2 o'clock. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? It's not a very big agenda, and Paul reminded me earlier that we do have to talk about capital budget recommendations for next year. I know we're early in that process, but if we have time, we may start getting into some of that. So any other additions? Okay. Approval of the previous meeting minutes.
Motion.
Okay, second, all right. Okay, we have a new board member, Jerry Barron Jr. Jerry, you have any comments or questions or anything for us?
I'm looking forward to working with y'all every way possible.
Okay,
I'll be inactive, I guess I'll be here every meeting. Unless there's some emergency and I cannot make it, but I don't see any issues.
okay, welcome.
Looking forward to it.
Thanks for showing up today. Tom, do you have anything to say?
Got a lot to say. You got an hour?
A loaded question.
Well, we have several of our board members are liaisons. Jerry was able to make it. Some of them are on the golf course for the APT event. I've actually seen Ruth, Jerry, and I think I saw David Brandenburg out there. So that's where they are all. Appreciate you guys being able to find parking and so forth. With regards to the Trafalgar Road fire, that seems to be a very hot topic right now. I'm very pleased to say that it's out. The smoke that residents are seeing right now is from the trench burning of the organic material. They have just a few more days left of that, which I'm pleased to announce, and then it will be completely done. We had representatives of ADQ on site on Monday, and they have not given us an official report, but they were all seemed to be happy and smiling and in a good mood, so I'm going to take that as a positive. So things are progressing very nicely. So I'm real pleased about that. Rick is going to bring up that we have had 2 recent instances with intoxicated boaters, and in case heavily intoxicated boaters. So I think it's something we need to talk about today and make sure that it's very clear that that is not acceptable, and that's how people get injured and or worse. It doesn't happen often, but we've had 2 in a very short amount of time, and so I think it's something that we should probably talk about today, and Rick will give us a little bit more feedback. We won't use the names. If the police discloses the names, then that's on them, but we won't disclose the names, but we will describe what occurred, because it is very concerning, because the one was full throttle in a no-wake zone, which could have led to something very bad happening. That's about it. You are correct. We are going to be coming out with the budget calendar fairly soon. You're a little bit early, but that's fine. I'd rather you be early than late.
Okay,
All right.
super.
That's it.
Thanks. Okay, if any more questions for Tom? Anybody have any questions for Tom?
Will the people sign it?
What? Oh, I'm sorry.
Reading numbers, yes.
Hold on. I was instructed to, this is a report from Joan regarding the marina. Here are some days you can share, or data you can share. Month to date, $12,000 in income with boats being sold out last 2 Saturdays. Crickets, redworms are our top sellers, along with a decent amount of minnow sales. Limited use on fishing kayaks, but we are starting to market these more. Lots of positive comments on the marina. Have started to rent temporary slips to new boat owners. And overall going pretty well, and we had the grand opening last week. The weeks are running together, and it was well attended.
Thanks. Okay, with that, if there's nothing else for Tom, I'm gonna turn it over to Rick.
Okay, I guess I'll start with the incident that we had this past weekend on Saturday. I'll just, in general terms, kind of describe the incident, and we were already in the process of creating a policy to be able to use the Bella Vista Police Force in conjunction with our rangers, because there's a little bit of a barrier there in responsibility. And so we're working on a policy. We have something kind of temporary in place, but we'll be ironing the details of that out so that this works smoothly going forward. It actually did work very smoothly this past weekend. A gentleman was observed at the Grant and Access, kind of staggering around, and as he attempted to get onto his boat. A resident there in the general area observed this and called our Lake Ranger phone number, which is one of the barriers that we had previously to get quick communication. Called the number directly. Our ranger got out on the water in search of this person, but in the meantime, called the police and had them come and wait at the access until he could get back. He was going out to attempt to find this person. When the person was found and approached, the ranger hit the siren a couple times, and he hauled butt back to the put-in. I'm sure he thought that he was going to be able to get his boat out and leave, but at that point he had two uniformed officers waiting for him.
Great.
They were able to give him a breathalyzer test on the spot. From what I understand, he blew at least twice the legal limit and was taken in and run through the process and arrested for intoxication. So a bad situation was taken care of, and
What time did this happen?
it was Saturday afternoon, from what I understand. I don't have the actual report in front of me, but
So in the future, if any resident or boater observes behavior like that in the future, is the first step to call the Lake Rangers or the first step to call the Bella Vista Police Department?
Well, remember that the police department, they don't have a boat.
Right.
So we're the only ones, so it inherently has to go through us.
dispatch would call. If dispatch was the first number called, they would immediately call that Lake Ranger phone as well.
Okay.
So they would be, on the way. And because we have a boat moored at the marina, that's generally a quick process. We have someone on duty during the summer from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. So during those hours, a ranger can be contacted.
And the good news is that the city and the POA are working hand in hand on this. There's no, it's a smooth handoff. So I think it's just important that we get the word out to the public that this is not acceptable. You hear
Exactly.
about boating
Could be a bad
accidents every once in a
situation.
while.
Yeah.
So.
The reporting party stated that if not for the quick response, there would have been loss of property, person, or an accident of some sort. And so they were really serious
Yeah,
situation.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it appears that the things that we put
On
in
Loch
action
Lomond
this last year-
at the Grant and Access.
So it appears that the things that we put in action this last year, the new boat, the more rangers, And-
It's having an effect.
it's working. It's
Yeah.
working.
I mean, you can't say for sure that if for this, then this, but, we're.
Yeah, that's great.
Is there a number posted somewhere that this person had?
It's on our, it's on our website. Kim, can you relay all the places where a person can find this?
Yeah,
855-5148, correct?
yes.
And if you go up to the search function, which I think is the easiest, put in boats, and it'll come to that page, you just scroll down, you'll see Lake Rangers and the phone number.
Well, I'm just curious because, how did this person, this citizen knew?
I'm not sure how they
know
did.
to call so quickly?
And if that number is not posted at all of our kiosks, it soon will be.
Hmm.
Yeah, so.
And like
it's-
what Rick said is, if you don't know the number for the Lake Ranger, if you call 911, they will call the Lake Ranger. So if, either way, it'll work.
And trust me, the people who live next to the boat ramps pay attention to people in the boats.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Well, I visited Avalon this last week with family, and right there on the gate to the Avalon dock is the great big letters is the phone number.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
where it is.
Yeah.
Real plain to see.
Okay. Any more questions about that?
We haven't had many incidences like this, though, to my knowledge, correct?
So I asked Bob, who's our lake ranger that's been around for 8 years. This is only my 4th year. And he said that in the past, this kind of thing was largely ignored because there was no, because the state law has recently changed to put more teeth behind policy. And,
Yeah, I think you can get arrested for DUI behind the wheel of a boat now.
Yes,
I mean,
you
I don't
can.
think in the past you could.
Right.
Yeah.
Is there anything in our regulations that prohibit the use of alcohol on a boat? Can somebody's driving the boat, can the guys riding with him be drinking beer or something, or?
I'm not sure if that's
There-
specifically stated or not.
I believe there's a line in there that states that the boat will be driven, properly
Mhm.
and safely. I believe the word says safely.
Mhm.
It's the responsibility of the owner.
Yes.
I don't ever remember seeing anything
On
about it.
the
so-
blue thing, in the blue
Okay.
thing, I
Yeah,
believe there's,
I think you're right.
I believe there, I didn't bring it with me today, but I believe that there's a line in there that specifically says about the
But
driver of the
about-
boat.
Drivers are one thing, but passengers, I think, are okay.
Yeah, I don't
Kim's
think
looking it
that's
up
in
right
there,
now. I
yeah.
can't remember what it says specifically.
So, anyway, we're gonna nail down the particulars on that one and get a good solid policy going forward.
Did you say there was a second incident recently?
Well, it was previous to this one. It was at the marina with a boat that was rented. At the marina. Apparently, when the person rented originally, there was no sign of intoxication, no alcohol seen or anything. But when he came back to the dock to pick up some additional passengers, that's when it was noticed. So it's not like it was rented to an intoxicated person.
Right.
It kind of happened afterwards.
Right.
How can that information be got out? Because you got July 4th coming up. Would be good to see information to know.
I think we included in the newsletter. That's the best way of getting information out.
Sporting update and the weekly POA
Yeah, so why
update.
don't you make sure that in the upcoming one, we have that
Okay.
included?
We've got one coming soon.
Good.
Is that something that could be featured in the Vista?
I can't control what appears in the Vista and what doesn't.
Well,
Yeah.
call up Keith and.
Well, how about our quarterly magazine, Kim?
The lead time on that is
Yeah.
almost 6 months.
So next year?
So by the time
Maybe
we
next
get it
year.
in the magazine, it will be
Maybe
too
we have a
late.
safe boating article next.
There was a recent safe
Yes,
boating article.
There was.
It was, okay.
The next
Do it
magazine will
on
come
your
out in
TV
September.
show, In the Know.
Hmm?
Do it on your TV show, In the Know. I know.
Anything else related to that?
I don't have any other questions. Anybody else have any comments or questions on the incident? I think you have a pretty good handle on it, and I agree that, it was handled in the proper manner. I always keep the number of the Lake Rangers on my phone just in case
Mhm.
something occurs. And I have, in all the years I've lived here, I haven't seen any type of behavior like that in all the years I've been here, so
Yeah.
hopefully they remain few and, or non-existent in the future.
Evidently, he was by himself, which is also kind of odd.
Kind of weird there too. Yeah.
Anyway, in other news, in in Lakes and Parks, all of our lake rangers have been hired and are fully trained. They're off on their own. We had 2,913 contacts for the month of May. That's down slightly from 3,049 from May last year. I think the weather has got a lot to do with that. We continue to get a lot of rain. But we were way up from April of this year, which we were at 13, so more than double the month previous. We have had 112 boat hours, and while on the water, we had 384 boat contacts. So we just talked about the incidents with the alcohol. The gate at Avalon, and this is hearsay from me, Mike Taggart indicated to me that it is okay to lock that on occasion. At least it's not in the face of ADA compliance.
Yeah, it does not appear to be a violation of ADA, so it's at your guys' discretion.
Okay, and we're only closing it when we have crowds down there. We want to keep it open as much as we can.
Is that the dock or the?
The dam going from the parking lot down to the dam at Avalon.
Okay, so when you have issues, you just close it?
It appears to be, I mean, we've dealt with this a couple of years in a row where the kids go over there and cause a ruckus, and it appears to be helping keep that somewhat under control.
Yes.
So on the one hand, I would like to have easier access for our membership to get to the dam. On the other hand, it's working and keeping the troublemakers out. So
if we see somebody driving recklessly, calls to mind another, I saw somebody one day this week on the Brittany Dam. I heard him driving a lot faster and a lot more recklessly than he should have been. It was probably a young kid. I didn't get a really good look at it. Is that something we can call the Lake Rangers about, or the Bella Vista Police Department?
We call the police.
Luckily, there
department.
weren't that many people on the dam. There were a couple people fishing, and he just kind of
Right.
sped down, and he turned around and sped off.
But that's private property. It's not technically under the city's jurisdiction.
So call the Lake Rangers.
Call a Lake Ranger. We'll
Well,
have a talk.
last year, we had an incident when we called both the Lake Ranger and the police department. The police came down real quick
Okay.
and gave them a warning, basically.
Yeah, and that's basically all they would do.
Yeah,
because-
because they have to see it.
And to you guys' credit, normally, when I'm out there, if I'm out there a couple hours, there's a ranger that comes down at least once during that
Mhm.
period and kind of checks on things, and kind of keeps everything in check, so
Mhm.
it's not a widespread issue, but I did witness somebody this week doing that, so.
Okay.
yeah, we would prefer you to call,
Okay.
even if it looks like the guy's leaving, which it sounds like in that case, but they can come by and, because maybe the guy comes back right away.
Mhm.
That's what happened to this one. Then incident, the kid came back and police got it.
That's funny. So, our London Fish Cleaning Station, we have that water pressure issue resolved, which is our busiest station for cleaning fish, so that's good. We continue to replace dock boards as needed. We're also updating and refinishing some of the picnic tables around the area. And with that, I think the committee has had the same assignments for amenity reports for a while. And I'm guilty as anybody of going into an area, everything looks the same, so I don't notice things that are not quite right. It might be a good idea in the next little bit to swap what we're looking at, so we can get a fresh set of eyes on the same old facilities. So I had no idea that these picnic tables were in the condition they were in, but we're going to refinish them with new boards. So I leave that open. Department 480, our fisheries and water quality department. The aquaculture program this spring has by and large been a success. We've moved 8,000 saugeye to Lake Ann, 2,000 saugeye to Lake Windsor, and tomorrow we're going to make our last effort before we drain those ponds and get them ready for next year. The crappie again this year did not seem to spawn. I'm looking into that, and hopefully we'll have that resolved by next year. The Loch Lomond vegetation problem that we've had for the last 3 or 4 years seems to be much better this year. We've got a good plankton bloom that's providing shade. We've had a few algae concerns and even fewer rooted vegetation concerns, which have been tremendous. The increased carp stocking has helped, and the ongoing plankton bloom from the recent rains have helped.
How big are the saugeye that you released into Ann and Windsor? How big? What are you-
1.5 inches in Ann, 2 inches in Windsor. And that's about as big as we can grow them before we have to stock them, because they start to become cannibalistic.
Okay.
Our lake fertilization has been minimal, again, related to our abundant rains that we've had. We have fertilized Lake Norwood and Rayburn once and Lake Ann twice. All other lakes are on target for the clarity that we want. Let's see. And we, my department participated in the BioBlitz program last month, which is a program with the Audubon Society on the Birksdale Golf Course to get certified as whatever their criteria is for certification as a clean golf course, as a golf course that's doing things for wildlife and the environment, in addition to providing golf for people. So that seemed to go off as a success, and that'll be one more thing that Wendy Barnes can put on her list to get her certification, which she hopes to have later this year. That's what I have.
Hey, Rick,
Yes.
I found the regulations.
Okay.
On alcohol. Operation of a watercraft under the influence of alcohol or drugs is prohibited. Arkansas law pursuant to alcoholic beverages in open containers apply to boats as well as motor vehicles. The Bella Vista Lakes have a zero tolerance policy regarding alcoholic beverages.
Okay, so no driver, no passenger.
So we're covered. I knew there was something that I read.
Yeah.
So is that it, Rick?
That's
Anything
it.
else? Any questions for Rick? Anybody? Okay, so there's only a couple of agenda items before we move on to some capital budget issues, but on the 15th, which I think is this Saturday, there's a community event. I think they're giving out cooking hot dogs and things. Kim, are you aware of that? The event?
Oh, you talking about fireflies and
Yes.
tailgating? Yes. That is at Blowing Springs.
Okay.
And this is the second or third year?
Third.
for it, Third. And people bring side dishes, and we provide hot dogs while supplies last. Learning very well. The first year that nobody RSVPs, they all show up, so you never know how many hot dogs you're gonna need. But the kids love it because they'll work on catching fireflies, and it's a great family event.
Okay.
And what kind of volunteers are needed?
I just got an email saying that there needed volunteers. I'm not sure what,
Dylan, the chairperson for the committee, is just looking for any volunteers to help out, for example, in driving the shuttle, because there's a limited parking up at the site, so they end up parking all the way down almost by Cooper Elementary. So we bring the shuttle carts from the golf courses down there, and that way they can shuttle people back and forth. So we need people to coordinate parking and shuttle and so forth. So if anybody's available this Saturday, we'd really appreciate the assistance.
So who do we report to, or where do we go to say, I'm here?
If you let me know that you're gonna volunteer, I will have Tammy get in touch with you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there for the Bella Vista Bluebird Society, and that's not a full-time job, so I can do other
Right.
volunteer duties.
Anybody else? Anyone? Anybody else?
Thinking about it. I have to check my schedule.
Okay.
Okay, so, if anybody, and I know Dylan also, so if anybody else wants to volunteer, I can put you in touch with Dylan or someone, or Tammy. So the next thing on the agenda is we have a request, from someone who wants to become a Lakes JAC member. So we're currently at 8 members. Our, formal documents, I guess, for lack of a better term, allow us to have up to 9 members. And so Jason Adams has requested, he's filled out an application to become a board member. I've spoken with Jason on the phone, and he's coming at the recommendation of Rick. He's a Walmart senior real estate, from 2003 to present. He also worked for a construction company. I know he's big into kayak fishing and runs a lot of kayak tournaments. And from what I understand from everybody I've spoken to, is an outstanding individual. So I was gonna maybe pass this around or let you guys see that. I think I sent it out. Did I send that out to you guys or not? It really doesn't have any more information than what I just read off to you. He's a graduate of the University of Central Arkansas.
Pontoon boat and sitting on the tubes and all that. The problem is 80% or more of them that do that, they park it right in the middle of the channel. Channel's not that wide, guys. And you got a rule, somebody there, you can't be within 100 feet of them when you go by. Guess what? Guess where the waves are going? When there's boats that are flying by and they don't, no wake go by them, they fly by them, they're between the shore and them. They give enough room to them, but they're closer to the shore. They're closer to me. They're closer to Bob and Mary and everybody else that's all up down through there trying to keep their place nice, not incur the expenses it takes to repair these docks. Rick Jolliffe, I'm sure y'all know Rick. I live right next door to Rick. He's had to repair his dock several times because of the wave action that comes up and lifts it up off the piers. That's not right, guys. The other thing I would encourage, and like I said, if you want to leave it open, that's fine, but somehow they need to stay in the middle. Everybody wants to blow out their 175 to 250, 300 horsepower motorboats. That's fine, dandy. I would too if I had one. I just can't see spending that kind of money at my age for one right now. I used to have them. But when they go down the channel, and a lot of these wake boats and a few of the other inboards, a lot of time it'll happen, they'll come off the main body of water, come down almost to where I am or where I am, cut it on up, head back up. They'll swing out a little bit so that they can turn it at full speed, head back to the main channel. Boy, that throws a heck of a wave on me. I don't know how you do it, but if you pull those folks over and say, look, you want to go full speed, stay in the middle of the channel, go to the end of the channel, no wake, turn around. Because if they go down there and turn around, they're going to catch those people too. But it doesn't hurt to go down there at the end and just shut her down, turn around, hammer down, going back up. When they turn around in our narrow channel, it creates a big wave on somebody. And not only my seawall, but I've got a large deck that it just blows the water up between the boards. Like I said, well, another thing, I'd like to see the board invest in a buoy, a big buoy with a derrick on it. You'll see them more in big open seas, what have you, but a derrick so that it could hold a sign. All 3, 4 sides, whatever, it doesn't matter. no ski, no tubing. Slash mark, different colors, whatever. No wake within 150 feet of shoreline. Enough people slow down, they'll read that, they're curious about what it is. That may help, alleviate this wake problem we're having. It's not a cure-all, but it's something that would be visible. I don't think it'd be all that expensive, but it's just a thought. It's just a thought. If folks are not interested in that, well then, hey, put me out some no-wake buoys all the way down both sides. No wake within 150 feet. Nobody wants to see a buoy right there across from their property. I wouldn't, but you've got to do something. It's just not right what's going on. Yes, sir.
Sir, you're talking about a problem that's not just inherent to your lake. This is all over the country. And it's a difficult problem to solve. We have hashed this out and hashed this out. Last year, I had a PowerPoint that showed all the different problems and the different solutions. It's difficult because the one thing you cannot control, as Lloyd always used to point out, is the attitude and behavior of the people. You
No.
cannot control that.
You know what will?
Well, stand out there 12 gauge might, but that's the problem.
You know what will? Right there.
Well, yeah, but
You get one or two of them, and I mean really.
that's why
seriously.
and as a result of all our discussions on this, that's why we have a patrol boat with a siren on it now, and we do pull over people and check and mention to them that they're out, they should be more in the center of the lake,
Yeah.
and to keep the wakes down. I mean, that's
I
all we
have,
can do. It's a private lake.
I'm down there on my dock because I like to pedal down there and what have you. I have yet to see him pull anybody over. I have yet to hear a siren at my location, okay?
Mhm.
So, I know your equipment there, your team is there, but, I'm just not seeing it in my little world that I can look at up and down, okay? I can't look all the way down, I can't look all the way, he may be down there, 1,000 yards and just pulling them over and reading them the riot act, I don't know. But I tell you what I do, when I see a boat, and generally, outside of the inboards, they're older folks, guys, that are riding these pontoon boats that are just, they're going too fast, too close to me. And when I see them go down the east side, I thought, okay, they're just gawking at everybody's backyard like everybody does. But I can tell they're too close, they're gonna come up my side. And when they do, I get out there and I said, and,
Right.
well, they do,
Yeah.
and I give them a thumbs up. I thought, well, maybe they're, a little bit of sign language, better than what I'd like to do, But I'm just offering suggestions, something visual, I think, and that would give the Lake Patrol a chance for conversation. Look, it's been posted, it's been in email, da-da-da-da-da. If you'll go back up there and read your buoy, if you get one of those Derrick type, but they don't have to be that tall to carry a sign to have all that information. You got just on the regular buoy, no ski, but if you get a sign that you can put no tubing, no skiing, no wake within 150 feet of shoreline, or, surely they'll figure it out. I think that's about all I could ask for. And, if everybody else would just stay in the middle of the channel, that's all I can go with that, no problem.
Sir, we appreciate your comments. Thanks.
Sure.
Thanks for attending.
Didn't mean to be so long.
That's okay. Anybody else have anything before we dismiss? I don't. Going once, going twice. Meeting adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you. Float bys and taking names and called people. For the most part, most people have gotten their sticker. They just haven't been out yet and haven't put it on. And so it's easy, the people that are right on the lake, that's the low-hanging fruit. It's the people that don't live on a lake, that have their boat at their house, that you don't know. And you don't, if they're intending to use it on the lake, you can't catch them until you see them on the water. And so, I mean, when we see a sticker that's out of date, the guys approach, absolutely.
This is just one big personal data point. I live on Lake Ann, and every time I'm down at the launch, I can look in the parking lot, and 50% of the folks don't use stickers. And so I wonder if they live in Bella Vista and they're just using, or if they don't live in Bella Vista and they're
Just using, and you don't see old stickers, you just don't see anything.
I don't see any stickers on
Okay.
Capital boats.
Okay, I'll make a note of that and have.
I just don't, and they're usually they're usually younger people,
Mhm.
so.
Okay.
Okay. Any more comments or questions concerning the capital budget? So what I would suggest is over the next, between now and the next couple of meetings, I will redo this and redo a 2020 document. But in the meantime, if anybody comes up with any ideas, either email me or we can talk about them at the next meeting. And again, we're ahead of schedule on this, but never hurts to be a little bit ahead of schedule on some of this stuff. And if you guys come up with anything that, any additional, man, we should do this or whatever, let us know. So at this time, does anybody from the audience have any comments or questions or concerns?
Can you come up to the microphone? Because we record the meetings, so we have cameras.
Yeah, it's a good thing, because I'm gonna remind you, a while back, when I asked you about, one of the lakes on Loman, you told me that there would be no, trailheads or trails that went through any of our, lake, launches.
Correct.
And I have a map, and it shows it, and this young lady over here said she would have you explain it to me.
Sure. Okay, so you asked about Loch Lomond, correct?
I'm asking about Loch Lomond because that's the one that I live on and am most aware of.
Great. Okay, so a couple different things is, the map goes back to 15, and it was prepared incorrectly. If you look on the east side, there are no trailheads on POA property.
I realize that.
You know,
I've been to Lake Ann
Okay.
and seen what they've done there. And I assumed that was something that you were planning on doing, but my map did not show that.
Yeah. The trailhead at Lake Ann is not on POA property.
Okay.
Am I correct on that statement?
I don't know.
I don't think it's on POA property.
It's not, it's definitely not interfering with the
It's
lawn.
not interfering,
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have, so for a couple different things is, the trails that would be potentially on the west side where Loch Lomond is have not even been considered at this point. They have not gone to the attention of the board. There has been no mention of those from the Walton Family Foundation at all. I have not heard anything. So I think, no decision has been made at all. But second of all, with regards to the lakes on the east side and the central portion, we're not having the parking at the marinas used as a trailhead for bikes.
Okay. Then yeah, because when, 2 Saturdays ago, I don't generally fish Saturdays. Saturdays, I'm retired, so
Mhm.
I don't do Saturdays. I went fishing because the weather had been bad. And when I put my boat in at 5:45 in the morning, I was the first boat there. When I pulled out at noon, there was not another place to park at Tyree. So,
Correct. No, we're aware of that. Now, we have worked with the NWA Trailblazers to get creative. So if you go on the east side, we created, or we allowed them to utilize on the far east, northeast portion of our community, we have a water tower over there. So the POA owns that land, and we allowed them to use all but an access. We need to get into the tower at times. Other than that, we allowed them to use the area around that. There's been some preliminary conversations about using the water tower that is on Chelsea, which is in the central portion of the community, as another potential trailhead, because the POA owns that and it's not going to interfere with anybody. So that's what we're looking at, is in where we create trailheads, so that it will not take spots away from the boaters.
yeah. Well, this map came to the attention of us in Fly Tires, and I have the president of Fly Tires here, and 3 of your members are with our club, and we were very concerned about it.
The map dates back to 15, so a lot has happened since 15. But I can say with all honesty, we're not looking at using any of the marinas for parking for trailheads.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Did I sufficiently answer your question? I mean, okay.
My name is Ed Limehouse. I am the current president of the Bella Vista Fly Tires. And I know we're well represented here. I'm glad to see you're talking about budgets for next year. As most of you know, the Fly Tires have donated considerable funds for different projects. I guess the last was the fishing dock over at Loch Lomond. But we'd like to get a list so that we can put it before our membership and vote on it to see how much money we can give you this year.
And we got lots of money.
Can you write me a
noticed
check right
that.
now, Marv?
It'll bounce like a rubber ball.
Are you to allow the committee to create some parameters on that? Last time we did Fly Tires contributed 10 and the POA contributed 25, 35, 25? Something like that? Was that the split?
You mean for the dock?
That's close.
For the fishing dock at Lot Lomond and at the
Yeah,
marina?
that sounds right.
Are you looking at a similar setup?
Yeah, depends on what the project is.
Okay. And
You know, if it's something like additional funds for stocking of fish,
So, I
Then that would
provided a list earlier this year,
yeah,
and I believe you all voted on, we had, half of our catfishing allotment cut. And so, I presented that, hey, if you wanted to pick that up and make it whole again, that would be a great project. And I believe it was voted on in the affirmative.
yes, it was, but I don't think anything has been done as far as actually writing a check.
Well,
We've
we
had a little
haven't-
change in leadership and things
Okay.
got a little sidetracked.
Okay, well, we won't be stocking until at least October anyway. So we really don't want your money before then for that project, anyway.
Rick is probably going to shoot me for saying this. The last conversations that we had with the Fly Tires, they wanted to focus on capital projects and not projects that were budgetary oriented. Has that changed? Because the stocking of fish would be more budgetary oriented, not capital oriented.
So capital oriented might be like you guys help purchase a boat or a truck or
Yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
There was talk of putting
Yeah,
a
I'm good with
cover
that.
over a grill at Lake Avalon. I think that,
It kind of got stopped because they were talking about using that area for parking.
yes. And I don't, I don't, I
We
don't think
went
there's.
so far as to get estimates on, you know,
Mhm.
material cost and all.
Yeah.
We had a similar discussion about something like that at Norwood, and I think the feasibility with the slope and stuff got in the way.
And then I guess the other question is, what kind of dollar amount are we looking at?
Let's just say we have a pretty good sum in the bank right now.
Okay.
I don't think I should disclose the exact amount, but
No.
it's a good amount.
And I heard someone's willing to make up the difference if
Yeah.
we're short at all.
Yeah, he told me that yesterday.
No problem, no problem.
Aren't you happy that you sat next to me?
Now, what I would like, Rick, you're scheduled to come speak to our meeting on the 27th.
Yes.
If you could be prepared to answer questions about the rules regarding lake use. We had quite a discussion at our last meeting about that,
Okay.
and some people were a little confused about the
Re-
true
re-
rules.
Regarding who can be on our lakes and who can't, is that what you're?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and, you know, as I've said before, the fly tyers are very interested in the lakes in Bella Vista. And we're well represented, and I plan on being at several of the meetings this year, so, thank you.
We sure appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for
Thank you.
stepping forward. You don't get too many requests, you don't get too many people offering to help pay for things, so we do appreciate that very much.
Right. Well, some of the things in the past that we've helped in, I don't know if everybody knows about it or not, was like the cleaning stations. We help support that, and docks, and stocking. So there's been quite a few things that. Yeah, tractors, yeah, that's right, that's correct, we put in a lot of tractors.
Yeah, at the Loch Lomond Fishing Marina. You
Yeah,
guys-
there, and we put some in, Rayburn, and we, yeah.
The heated dock
Right.
under there, I think.
Right.
They've
So
done a
they-
lot,
They've done a lot,
absolutely.
they've did a lot of good.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for letting me speak in front of y'all. My name is Bill Ginger, spelled like ginger. And I moved up from the Greenwood, Fort Smith area approximately 2 years ago. And for discussion's sake, I'm gonna say Loch Lomond runs north-south with the dam being at the north end. I know it doesn't quite, but all this northeast by southwest and all that. I live at 42 Dunkell, which I found out after a phone call to Rick. He asked what lot number, and I said 42. That's all I know. But he graciously looked it up, said there's like 500 lots. And I'm lot 302, 320, something like that. And he made up a nameplate, and I attached it to my dock. And a little bit of background, I've got a construction, masonry, sales background, retired. 4 kids. One's U.S. Fish and Wildlife. She's a wildlife biologist, been with him about 15 years. Fighter pilot, one's in a consortium, conservative, something, I don't know what, anyway. Try to be carbon-free deal, work with these 500 companies, and then I've got one's a CT, so anyway, we're conscious of the environment and everything. We grew up like that, but we love to fish and hunt. As a youngster, I had a Sanger boat. Y'all don't know what that is. It had a 390, board and stroked, over the transom, wet heads. I love speed. Coach Boris says left lane, hammered out. And buddy, I did. But now I'm retired, got a 75 horsepower pontoon, and it goes fast enough for me, okay? I told you where I live, but I call it Tyree Raceway, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to bring up the wake situation. I'm sure that's brand new to y'all. Looking at that channel, I still haven't figured out why it's wide open from the main body to the no wake buoy just north of the boat landing. When you scale the other 2 main channels essentially the one on the east side that goes to the boat landing, Branton, Clanton, whatever it's called. Okay. That has no wake all the way along the, I'm gonna call it the south side of that main channel. The channel running east and west along the south part of it is no wake. Along the north part of it, you can hammer down. If you put in, you can hammer down to go out to the main channel. If I'm reading the buoys right, maybe I'm not. But they've got some protection, those on the south side. The other two larger channels on the west side of the lake are no wake. As soon as you get in there, the whole body of water on both those bigger channels are no wake, correct? Is that right, Rick?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to be sure I was understanding that. When you scale as best you can across the width of the channels, Tyree Raceway is the same width or smaller than all other three bodies of water. I'm not against people speeding down there. I'm not against that. I just wish they would all appreciate my property like I do theirs and stay in the middle of the channel so it lessens the wave that eventually reaches people that dock their boats in the water because they don't have lifts, people that have swim docks on the water. When there's an action, there's a reaction. That's physics, guys. And the bigger the swim dock, the worse it is, really. Because it's sitting on piers, hopefully attached, and if it is, if you got big waves, you get an upheaval because they're not secured to bedrock. So that's not good, much less the wear and tear it does on your seawalls. Couple things I would like for y'all to discuss, work on. They're simple solutions, maybe a little education. I don't know how you get the word out, but I think through the email thing, I kind of read the email and see all the, wait for the specials up at the bar and grill up here. I don't play golf. But a couple things, and especially if you redo your pamphlet, I've read that thing a number of times. I believe in the KISS method. Keep it simple for the stupid. And where you've got a no wake within 100 feet, and you've got a no wake within 150 feet, and you mentioned dock and seawall and private property, I would like to see you put on there private dock. To me, when I first read it, I'm thinking, well, gosh, they're still talking about the POA marina docks. They're not talking about my dock. And I had to ask a couple of my neighbors, and I've got a lot of neighbors I've talked to, on both sides. Same concerns. And I thought, well, I'm gonna go down there and talk to them. In fact, I was invited to by Rick. But one thing is to maybe just put that all in bold letter. No wake within 150 feet of a private dock, private seawall. Don't leave it just a seawall or whatever. Maybe that might trigger some guys. The other thing, or another thing, is these wakeboard boats, whatever you want to call them. My two middle-aged kids love them. They got them over on Beaver. And there's at least two of them on Loch Lomond. They absolutely tear the channel, Tyree Raceway up. I don't care if they're going full speed or half speed. Actually, half speed or less, they throw out more weight than they do full speed, to be honest with you.
Almost.
I don't want anybody not to have what they want, but I don't think they really realize what we as homeowners have to endure. Everybody along the shoreline, I would say 75% of those folks have over $500,000 investment right there. Home, lot, boat, all the trimmings. That, they want to take care of it. And I know you folks want the best for everybody. So I don't know if you have a private sit down with those folks, say, hey, stay out of those towns, stay in the main. Or if you got a trailer and you want a really long, run over there to Beaver, it don't take an hour, you know? But you really you wouldn't want me with my little old pontoon coming over there where you dock that thing and just really tear it up, you know? Like I'm gonna do a whole lot, but it's the same difference, you know? Let's have a little respect. The other thing with the Rangers, and I visited with Mr. Eccles. I was pretty hot. I was going into the phone conversation pretty hot, let's say. He calmed me down. You're a good guy.
Thank you.
He answered everything professionally, very courteous, and I was most appreciative of him. You got a good guy. A couple months ago, I waved over your lake ranger to my dock. I was standing there and I wanted to ask him some questions. Now, if y'all fish Loch Lomond, you'll know where I live. It's a double boat slip perpendicular to the shoreline. It's got a big swim deck on the south side of the dock, and it has a water slide to it, okay? Anyway, so I waved him over. We have a little conversation talking about wakes. And I said, boy, there's some here that are just, you know, really tearing me up. And I said, that buoy up there at the north end of this main channel says no ski. I said, what about tubing? He said, there's supposed to be no tubing either. And I said, well, there's tubing down here. It's not a big problem, but they do it. And I said, what about wakes? He said, well, it's open. And boy, he got the hair back up on my neck. I said, are you saying a boat can go wide open, 50 feet, 75 feet, 100 feet, 25 feet, whatever, right down the shoreline, going to Tyree Park? He said,
No.
he didn't answer. He went like that.
Okay. But he wasn't informed, obviously.
I don't know, you told me that.
Yeah.
You said he was new and you talked to him, but I'm just telling you.
Okay.
That was the answer. He didn't answer, he raised his shoulders, and then he left. Also in the conversation, I asked him, I forwarded him, and I'll forward you all, and I'd love for y'all to do it. I don't have anything in that second slip anymore. When I bought the place, it had a little speedboat, and I sold it. So it's an empty slip. It's just 16 foot deep, the other's 26 foot deep. Also just north of it,